Irene Birungi Mugisha is an accomplished Ugandan entrepreneur known for her prowess as an award-winning television journalist, broadcaster, and columnist. She is the Senior Private Secretary in charge of administration for His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda. Birungi is also the founder of All Round Consult, a reputable public relations and media firm located in Kampala, the capital city of Uganda. In 2010, she broke new ground by becoming the first female television manager in Uganda when she was appointed at the state broadcaster Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. Later in 2014, Mugisha took on the new role of managing the Uganda and Rwanda Bureau of CNBC Africa. Despite her professional success, Mugisha places great importance on her personal life. She is a God-fearing woman who is also a devoted wife and mother of 3 children. I had a discussion and a conversation with Irene on the subject matter of the month, which is life and career transitions, and there's just quite a bit to unpack from her life transitions, and I wanted to share that with you, so enjoy.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whatever place it is that you're tuned on to the Life Signatures podcast. It is the month of May and we are talking about life transitions. Life is marked in such a way that we go through one stage of life or another, and it's common to all of us human beings. So every Wednesday I'm going to be having a discussion or a conversation with someone on the other end of the line, and we're going to be talking about their life transitions. Interesting people have been lined up, and today we have a very interesting personality that I want us to listen to her story and just share one or two nuggets together with her. I'm hoping that this is going to be instructive to you. Good morning, Irene.
Good morning, Lawrence.
How are you doing?
Everyone.
Yeah.
I'm good, thank you.
Right. Are you an early riser?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So this is a good time for us to have this conversation. I'm so happy. So, Irene, you're the newest author in town, the CEO in you, the change maker. How are you feeling about that?
I feel blessed. I feel as an achiever.
Yeah.
Because when you do something and you break through, that's a plus. So, yeah.
Awesome. So, Irene, where you are at, where you've arrived, and I know your journey is continuing, but where you are at today, if you were to look back maybe when you were 15, 20, and someone told you you'll be where you are sometime later on in the future, would you have believed them?
Not really. Not even in the nearest second of any thought.
Yeah? Why? Why is that?
Reason being because really the moment of everyone getting to be in an understanding state, you think of the today. You think of either what am I going to eat, what am I going to put on, and the fact of thinking broader than that does not count until later on in your time of growth or age. So, 25 years ago, if I may say. Since then, I don't think it was something you would dream of or think of as it is right now.
Yeah. I understand. So we know that whatever has brought you here, or whatever is going to take you whatever place you will go further, is transitions. So if someone mentioned the name Irene Birungi in Uganda, people will talk or think generally of that media personality, TV personality. But Irene, before you got into TV, I understand that you didn't even have any formal training into TV. How did you land into TV, smack in the middle of the big screen?
Very true. Before I got into or joined the media world, as we may put it.
Yeah.
Again, it was for me. It was about having a passion. Maybe I may call that.
Yeah.
I had an interest in me of admiring. I think most of our passion should start with admiring. What do you admire in life?
Yeah.
So, me, it was more of admiring. And I've always mentioned two people. That is Brenda Navirio then of WBS, and then Rosemary Chuck, CNN. And I always loved how Brenda articulated her words, how she posed, how she looked at herself in terms of image-wise and dress code.
Yeah.
Then for Rosemary, it was really also about that whole confidence of, I'm in control. I'm the authority here. I know what I'm speaking about.
Yeah.
So, it always gave me that beautiful admiration. And I know once in a while I would find myself getting a paper and just doing a mimic or just doing my me into the mirror. Just reading a story or so, yeah.
Projecting yourself as if you're one of those two.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Not really as if I was one of those two, but myself doing it. So it was me doing it, yeah.
Oh, so you saw yourself just like they were on the screen. You saw yourself on the screen. And in the meantime, you had, what kind of qualifications did you have at that moment in time?
Just finished my diploma, getting to do my degree here.
Diploma in what area?
Purchasing and supplies management at MOBS. Totally different, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's the gist of transitions, and that's how life is. You might never know where you end up. So the lesson there for me is not necessarily to be fixated on what is before you. You should be open to possibilities. But I'm also learning from what you're saying that we should lean into the things that we admire and lean into our passion. So, how did it happen to the person who do not know how Irene ended up at WBS? How did it happen for you? This is someone with a diploma in purchasing. So, how did it happen?
Yeah. So, leaning into a passion you want, because it's an admiration, it keeps at the bottom of or at the end mind of your brain all the time.
Yeah.
And much as you take course of every day as it comes. I remember I just started working at Kangaroo Investments. That is a more of a logistic company. And one of these evenings, I'm out with friends. And I get to bump into the proprietor, the executive director, to WSTV, and in a way of just chatting away, I just mentioned can I even come and do some news on your TV?
Yeah.
And well, it might have sounded like, in an appropriate way, not in an environment
official way.
Yes, an environment that will call for action. But he said, "Oh yeah, because it was a weekend." He mentioned come on Monday, and that was it.
Yeah. And you went there, you did your auditions, and you passed. Someone with a diploma in purchasing, and you are acing the audition, right?
Yeah. did the audition and I looked like I'd been trained to do the job.
Because actually you had been training yourself, so to speak, isn't it? You had been looking at Rosemary Church of CNN, and you've been admiring this lady of WBS. So basically it's like your mind, your consciousness was set up for it, isn't it?
Very true. Yeah, it was set up in all ways, in how to articulate, when to pause, when to do the pitch. So it came out so smooth.
Right. And they normally say the rest is history. But I want us to talk about slowly about that history itself. You got into WBS through that chance, let me just call it chance interview, chance bumping into the ED of WBS. And now you are into that particular space that you had always been dreaming of. This is now a transition for you in life, some kind of transition from doing something that you are trained to doing something that you are passionate about. How did you set yourself up to excel at WBS, to become that star that most Ugandans know as Irene Birungi of WBS TV?
True. So onto the job, of course, we got training. I think I was lucky that at the moment of tendering in my interest, they were also recruiting of sorts. So I joined a team where we were trained by some external people on how to be more professional.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was like some few months, I started seeking out for what other trainings I would do. So I sought out for Reuters training. I sought out for some of the organizations here in Uganda. We had Capital Markets Authority that time. It was very vibrant.
Yeah.
And they would take journalists to be trained, Security Exchange, UIA. So I really from then tried to expose myself to the short courses that would make me become an authority in the field of business reporting. Because as I joined then, I preferred to become a reporter of business and not of the general desk. So it became my personal thing to get those short courses to improve my skill.
Okay. Are you the only one who was gravitating towards business reporting? What as compared to the intake?
Yes, at the moment, actually, I was the only kind of personality who was more interested in business. The rest would be forced if there would be two more stories for the day, and then they would pick up the desk and tell them, "Look here, please go for this story." But I was the only one.
Okay, what drove you into that? Let me just call it unique, because for the most part, people want the big screen and to read the news at 9 and so on. But for you, you went for business reporting. Was there something that you're looking at?
I love being impactful.
Yeah.
I love being positive. And to me, I think that was the only thing that could have drawn me to the business reporting. Because then business reporting, you're telling stories from a unique proposition. You're telling stories that are really creating impact on others. You're telling stories that really make you happy. So I looked out for things that were going to make my day more lively, I believe.
Yeah.
And then improve my passion. So I just found myself looking out for those stories, and then it became my specialty.
Nice. Did you have fun?
Did I have?
Did you have fun doing that?
A lot of fun. I totally recall even right now in the moments when I would just walk into someone's office to just talk to them and tell them I want to do a story on, for instance, if it was Securities Exchange and I wanted to do a story on what are the trends, what is the impact of the trading on the stock markets. Or if I went up country and I just walked to anyone's home, most of these people I profiled, I didn't know them.
Yeah.
So I would just think of a storyline or an idea and then walk to someone's home and say, I understand you're into mushroom growing, would want to know how do you do it. How best is it improving your lifestyle? How is it impacting the community? And that's it. And those would be open and would be willing, because journalism had just also started. So you really needed to take time to first make the person become comfortable with you, to know that you're doing it not for your selfish interest, but for the good of people to learn from how they're doing it well. So I took really time. That shows I loved what I was doing, and every day I would be inspired to have more ideas.
Awesome. So what was the highlight for you? What was the highest point when you were at WBS that you can look back and remember this was it?
Oh, wow. When I was, I think when I was nominated as the best business journalist, and then, yes, I was awarded as the best business journalist of television then. And that was in 2002, 2003.
Wow.
It was held at, that was a beautiful highlight for me. I really recall it. And I think it just motivated me more, and gave me the instance of, like, you can actually do something without knowing that it can be a pure accolade or a pure satisfaction to you, recognized by the environment around you.
Yeah. Cool. So I want us to move on, because I know you have limited time. So you transitioned from WBS, moved from, I think, the private sector to the public. Is that true?
Yes.
What necessitated this move? Because normally people say there is money in the private sector. Why are you going to the other side?
True. Money. I believe money is everywhere. Private sector is a bit more streamlined, as I have, with the exposure and the experience I've got. But there's money everywhere. And to me, it was really first of all, I was living at the time where my husband now had joined. And so we had almost like a silent kind of policy that you couldn't, work in the same environment with either a spouse or something. And two, I believe I had reached a moment where I had reached my peak and in contribution at WBS. I think by the time I left, I had almost about 7 awards.
Wow.
I had built the name Irene Birungi was a brand name. My brand name Irene Birungi was done or made at WBS.
Wow.
So I knew life, or whatever I was going for next, was going to be beautiful. And so it was not until I was actually approached through my husband that the then MD Tabaro wanted to have me at UBC. So it wasn't something that I had thought myself that, I'm going to UBC. But when the proposition came through, I said, why not? To me, that was a beautiful challenge. And they were giving me a platform where I was going to exercise my influence, my authority, change the whole perception of the government TV, because we all had a different, not a very good perception of the government TV, what they were doing. So I said, why not? Why join the transition of that beautiful government entity? So
And you still did the business reporting, right?
Yes, I still joined. I joined as a producer and business editor. So I loved going out to the field to profile my own stories. I loved editing my stories. And then I think after a year or so, then I was promoted to television manager, which also now gave me another authority of sorts or influence. But also it was through really a series of training. By then I had enrolled in a media management or media development course, which is an equivalent of a bachelor's in communication. Trained in German at the DW Academy institution. So I had a seamless of strength that by joining as a reporter and a mentor of sorts, everyone was looking up to what I was doing, right? Because I had the efficiency of the private sector. The bit about private sector is being efficient, is being proactive, is being result oriented. So that is what I brought to the transitioning of actually then UTV to UBC television.
Awesome. Did you love the transition for yourself, moving from WBS to UBC?
Definitely. It was a beautiful highlight.
Yeah.
To me, actually, that's the journey of that started making me be appreciated more.
Yeah.
Because now you're speaking to a different target audience. You're being exposed to the government fraternity.
Yeah.
Where there are persons of influence, the ministers, the members of parliament, and all that. So, and the government agencies. So it actually exposed me more and built my network on another level.
Right. So what I've learned from you, Irene, especially moving from WBS, is what you say that you had reached your peak, as in you had peaked. There was probably, for lack of a better word, no new challenge over there. You had received all those accolades. And I think the lesson for our listeners today is we need to recognize when we have peaked, right? We need to recognize when we've reached our end, where there is basically no new challenge, and then we need to maybe transition and to move on. Is that so?
Yeah, pretty much so. The transition may not necessarily necessitate you to leave the company, but move from the position you're at to another position.
Awesome.
And so it should be a growth of you're being evaluated and you're promoted from a junior level to an officer level, to not from an officer level to management level,
awesome.
And even making the company. So transition is two-way. It may mean you growing within the same company or environment, or actually leaving that place and profiling yourself elsewhere. Yeah.
Awesome, Irene. This is beautiful. So again, you are on a transition at UBC. Something else happened. You moved on to somewhere else. What happened?
So while at it as well, so the television manager, you kind of still get a lot of training here and there. I was very intentional now at that time to improve personal development, and that is something that also can allow people to transition.
Yeah.
The more you prepare yourself through personal development, you look out for opportunities and challenges in a better way.
Yeah.
And I believe by also the number of features I had done, having been recognized on the international fora, people having noticed that, she's actually doing something different from the rest. I was still reached out through a colleague that, we need, you may be of impact to an external business entity. Again, I believe at that moment I was only looking out to be challenged more and challenged more.
Right.
And so I reached out. I did fast forward, did the interviews, and I totally remember that moment. I did a broadcast interview. Imagine doing a broadcast interview where you're interviewed from one country, and the interview is broadcasted to another country.
Whoa.
And you leave and I hope there's something they've seen.
Yeah.
And one of the instructors just walks to pick you out of the studio and tells you, wow, we've never done such an excellent, articulate interview.
Wow.
So it showed it was a plus. It showed that they had okayed the person they wanted to recruit. And so that's how I got to join CNBC, the Uganda Bureau. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, Irene, whatever happened there, we know that you did not stay at CNBC that long, but it was an interesting opportunity for you, isn't it? It was, it's now international, moving from national to international, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you went through a transition shortly after you gone to Rwanda for CNBC. What necessitated this life transition? And I know this is a very critical point of your life.
Purely it was about making again difference, and then allowing myself to speak to that I should say, how you stretch a rubber band, how else can I stretch myself, So I believe I just allowed myself to stretch, and I stretched to understand if I'm in another environment. This is an international platform. How am I being perceived? What am I doing best? How can I satisfy myself through the sacrifice? Because one, I was sacrificing myself away from my young family, which later on worked my brains. But while at it, I really wanted to prove that I can do it. You know, I remember being in the Rwanda television studios where I would do the recordings.
Yeah.
And everyone would see, how does she present herself? How is she pronouncing? How is she, interviewing people? And so it was always like, I want to prove something, something good, something better than everyone else around me. And yes, that kept me going, I believe.
Okay. But there's a sacrifice that you had to make as you transitioned back to Uganda. Tell us about that shortly.
Yes.
You had to sacrifice something. So, you had to sacrifice that post.
Exactly. One, because I found I was missing something quite important.
Yeah.
That was being part of my children's growth. Sometimes we actually believe, and it's not, it could be easier for more of the gentlemen, but I think the women, we kind of are so attached in terms of when you have the young children coming, and then your career is as well being stretched.
Yeah.
So that balancing act, then I needed to find the best way how to remain stable, to remain at peace. And so, yes, I traveled back to Uganda, and while still at working as CNBC, I continued on my flexi job at the Federation of Uganda Employers, of which I was a director. So when I returned, that was a fallback, but then I refocused more on reviving my company around consult. So that now gave me more passion to see how can I use my skill, my experience, my exposure to add value to all the other persons that need a communications support.
Yeah, so you set the all-round consult. Basically, this time when you came back from Rwanda is the time that you can say you had a lot of time to focus on your business, right?
Yes, very true. Yeah.
Okay, so now you are working as someone who is employed and also as someone who is employing other people. Is that true?
Yeah. So worked as someone was employed, and as again at the same time as an employer. So I had to look out for who are the persons I would recruit to work with.
Yeah.
And what basis, and then look at the parameters of, a real employer. The employer has to pay people, has to pay taxes, has to have all the paperwork that allows you to be a recognized employer. So that's what I was able to go through at that time, and I thank God.
Yeah, awesome. I want to ask you this, Irene. How do you balance the two? Being an employer at one point and then also at the same time being an employee. How do you balance that?
Not as simple as everyone would want to think, but you can actually make it very workable.
Yeah.
One, you need to find a semblance of how best do you work around to have a support team.
Yeah.
A support team that makes your life a bit navigable. And that support team should be both at home and at the workplace. Because at home, then you need to retire in an environment that will allow you to think right, to be positive, to be strategic. And at the workplace, that you will have a support team or work colleagues that we will be able to be comfortable to delegate. Now, when you're not comfortable to delegate someone, that's where you get stressed.
Yeah.
Because then you want something to be achieved and you cannot achieve it.
Yeah.
And so you're always going back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
So I remember so well, that's how I brought on board a friend, that is Charity, who I knew she's a marketing expert. And so she made my work easy, where I would not be in position to meet clients. We would just have a brief, and then she would do it excellently. So it's important that you also equip yourself to have personnel that will actually represent you or represent your vision, you know.
Yeah.
And both ways at home. I still say both at home and at work.
Yeah.
Because those two environments matter a lot in you being able to achieve what you have put as your vision.
How has your husband been supportive in all these transitions?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. He's been I think he's been my number one cheerleader.
Yeah.
From the moment he proposed. He found me at the stage of where my career was starting to grow, and so very active, very proactive, and very focused young lady. And he noticed by himself that there was no anything that was going to actually navigate me off the road, which I had just started. And so in him, he pledged to see that he supports that. By being a friend, first of all, by understanding the work that I am doing, and being able to manage me accordingly. And also the beauty about it that he joined the same industry, which he was able to learn the dynamics of that industry, how far you can be stretched, the late hours, the sacrifices. And so it was a bit easy for him to support me. But he's been my number one cheerleader to date.
We thank God for that.
He's out there to know that I'm tired. He's out there to know that I need support. He's out there to know that, and I pray that all the male human beings can do that. And it becomes a very comfortable life because you share a lot together. And you find that growth is actually for both of you. It is actually not for one person. So my success becomes our success. It's not my success. It is our success. And that's what we've worked out together all this time.
Awesome. So you know where I'm going with this next question. At the moment, you're working directly with the president, which to me was also a transition. How did you in the world... This Uganda has 40 million people, but it's Irene who is working with the president. How did that happen?
Very beautiful. Transition is really changing either from one situation to another, from one state to another. And to me, it has been a gradual journey, just like we've been talking about it. And again, the things you do, the people you work with, the footprints that we create, every place you are at, really matter in life because someone is watching.
Wow.
Because someone is taking attention of what is happening around you. Because you are actually adding value to someone who will be your referral. You know, you are actually, like I say, blossoming where you're planted, where that means you flower and everyone will be able to see that flower come out, and the flower is admired. And to me, I think it was a series of one place to another. I had interviewed him in 2003
while at WBS.
While at WBS, and never occurred to me that 14 years later I would be his handler. So things we do around in every little environment we are placed in, we should always appreciate them and do them excellently, at least at most. So to me it was really being able to have made that brand speak for itself and sell for itself. But there was a need of a communication specialist, and no one else was able to think of any name but Irene Birungi Mugisha. And so I'm given the opportunity to support in the communications field of changing the narrative of the chairman of a party during a campaign. Which I brought on so well, made the strategy, and at the end of it all, the chairman of the party was appointed, or was what is the word?
Elected.
Was elected. as again the next president. And so the person I was working with, because of also having made sure the team, I wasn't working by myself, we made her work be pronounced and be seen, was then appointed as chief of staff, which is the principal private secretary to the president.
Yeah.
And for the period I had worked with her, she had seen my value, and on her appointment, she called for me to join her in the new field.
Yeah.
And yes, so that's how I found myself transition from, I believe, the president's always talking about metamorphosis, where you get the butterfly from the
pupa, the caterpillar, pupa, and then butterfly.
Larva and the pupa and all that.
Yeah.
So I believe I'm now that stage of the butterfly.
Awesome. But did you resist going to work with the president initially?
True. It's actually the only job I resisted. When I got the proposition, I was already comfortable. I'm a director. I am being recognized at a high level. My company is doing well. I have all these plans to actually expand my company across the borders. I was planning that time to go to Nairobi and open up a all-round consult. And so you're getting this proposition, but you've heard that, working for the president is not as easy as you may think. And the comfort of every human being is, I said, no, I don't think this is called for me. And so it took me a while, and she was such a bright lady. She told me, I give you 2 weeks, think about it, share with your husband, and definitely share with my husband. His encouraging statement was, just go and do it, just give it 1 year. I'm like, okay, you mean I can go to State House, do 1 year and get out? So, so that's what I told me. So just give it 1 year. Go in, see what you can do. It will build your network. We are here trying to expand ARC, so it will build your network.
Wise man.
So it was a very good way of actually encouraging me to look at it in a different way. And long story short, yes, I then I was able to appreciate the proposition. My CV was then, I believe, given to the HE. I remember someone calling me who knew me and had seen what he had written on the CV. He had said, I know this young lady. She met her in Thailand in 2003. He even put the year there. She interviewed me during the manifesto launch in 2011. So if the vetting has gone okay, so please be appointed. And that, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
This was the president who was writing on that CV, right?
Trust me,
That's 14 years down the line.
14 years down the line.
My goodness. Whoa. I think, how would you describe our president, Irene, if someone told you, just describe him?
Wow, he's a statesman. A true statesman who loves this country and the world, who has taken his time to study and understand human capital and what is required of human capital, and understand development and be able to appreciate nurturing and bringing life to the country. For someone to bring peace and stability year and decade after decade. Decade after decade, Lawrence, that's not easy. We see it on TV. I don't think it's easy. And so to me, that's the number one credit I give to our president. We can cry out for anything else where we see people saying, what, freedom of speech? Trust me, there is no better place of freedom of speech like this country. I have traveled, I will say, I've not seen a beautiful country like this, where you can actually travel every hour of the day and night, and you can reach your destination peacefully. There are few pockets of, someone has blocked you, has stopped you. That is everywhere. That's everywhere. But believe me, I think Uganda is one of the most many hundred among the million countries that is peaceful. And his love to also create peace across borders. That is also to another. People say I have humility. I think we have a president whose humility is beyond measure. There are things I cannot, in my own instance, I think I cannot say. I can't stand. And I'm like, how? So what a better place actually to be nurtured, to be trained, to be available for. To me, it's really an honor. It's a privilege to work for my president and to work for this country. It's really an honor. And there's a lot of learning lessons I pick from him every single day.
Yeah, Irene, I've spoken to some few friends of mine who have had the privilege of meeting the president, and it looks like to me each of them said that they met the president in the night, as in he's that a hard worker. Is that true?
Definitely. Someone who has to keep peace for this country, think for you and strategize. He's a extremist hard worker. But I also want to say that he does it with passion and love. So it's not something that you see he's stretching himself. No. He's doing
he
it
wants
with passion. I want to do this for my people.
Okay, awesome.
So it doesn't matter how he stretches himself, but he believes he should be able to attend to each and every person. To him, every human being matters. From the high person who is of either another president, a counterpart of him, to the lowest person, the little kid who is maybe 1 year or 2 years.
Okay. He's also a mentor. He's been mentoring you from the get-go, right?
Yes, I think he's a mentor to everyone, but to me, I've had the privilege to be closer, to be mentored more.
So Irene, you earlier on when we were talking about transitions, you said you can transition within an office or within the organization that you are at. And I know even working with the president, you've also gone through some transitions. Maybe I might be wrong. Is the CEO Forum one of the highlights of your transitions?
True. Like I said, for one to transition can be within the organization or away from the organization. And so for me at this office, what I had to do is, again, the who in me is to look out for what can I do different from the rest, what is something that is required. And being a handler, I thought out that the need to convene or bring together the CEOs of this country who actually are the ones who move the private sector, so that they can walk the journey with the vision bearer was something that was missing. So I shared the idea with him, and all he did was to guide me how best it should be done, and that's it. So it's coming 2 years this year. We've had 3 CEO forums. We yet to have fourth one, and they've all been impactful, very resounding and adding value to the country. He's seen it as a consultancy platform. Get to know what are the challenges, but at the same time getting the solutions of those challenges from the people who are into the field themselves and not thinking for them. I remember when he told the MDAs, stop thinking for the private sector. Let the private sector be able to share with you their challenges, but also give you the strategic interventions so that we can work together and come up with policies and solutions that really bring value to this country.
What made you as Irene to conceptualize, because this is not the president's brainchild, this is your brainchild, what made you conceptualize the CEO Forum?
The amount of traffic. Everyone wanted to meet the president. We only have 360 days in the whole year, you know. And out of those, we have a number of weekends. And we are 40 million. Out of the 40 million, probably 3 million CEOs. So how are you going to have 3 million CEOs meet the president in 360 days? It's close to almost not achievable. But then he's the president who needs to make sure we have a national planning development plan, but needs to be achieved. At the same time, you have a private sector that actually contributes to the GDP of this country. To me, whoever would come to seek for his intervention or seek for his guidance or seek for his wisdom, you are more or less bringing the same issues. And I thought it befitting that if we brought these people together at one platform where we can discuss, have a caucus first, because it's about caucusing issues that are patent. Not every issue should be escalated to the president.
Exactly.
And so they are those that can be managed by the ministers, the departments and agencies. And then we get out those that are really strategic issues for the high level, who is the president. And that was really something I had noticed because of the several meetings. And of course, those who would not do, and they would say, why are you not scheduling us? We are also Ugandans, you know. And all that.
Okay, awesome.
I hope we are winding up soon.
Yes, we are in the next 1 minute. Because what I want you to do, Irene, is to speak to the people. Because you and I mean, you've grown, basically I can say you've grown through very many transitions and very many stages of life. You understand the struggle in life. You understand the working as an employee. You understand even sometimes being jobless. You also understand working as an employer. What advice would you give people? For you, if you look back and you see all these trajectories and these transitions you've gone through, what are those things that have made you have doors open for you? Because you were not born in State House. You are not born in WBS. You were born, I mean, you are just like any other Ugandan, but there you are working at State House. If you were to advise young girls, young men, young women, what would you tell them to how to manage their transitions in life and become successful?
I really speak to a few words. One is to know yourself better. Be in position to create standards around yourself. By creating standards is the relevance of history is one. Who are you? You know, where do you come from? What are the values? We learn our values from home. Say charity at home. So the relevance of history is very important in nurturing us to be persons of purpose. And then thereafter is have standards, create standards for yourself. If as a young girl, for instance, your standard should be that while at school, because that's where you start becoming a person who can understand where you're navigating to. While at school, you know, are you proactive? Are you being able to do your homework on time? Are you, or you're that character who they're always asking, what are you doing? You know, where are you? You're not in class. So create standards around yourself. Surround yourself. When you create standard, that means you surround yourself with people who are bright, you know, and also try to mentor others. And then the other bit is really to be have conviction in you and courageous. You know, that would be my parting shot. How courageous and convicted are you in doing something? When you have conviction in you, it allows you to transition better. And then when you are courageous, it allows you to have that confidence that I keep speaking about, the confidence of doing the things. And then last but not least, but be ethical. Integrity is very important in life. Ethical. That's be loyal to yourself and to people around you. Have integrity and humility in every sense will come around, and I believe transition then will be able to be smooth. And when you transit, also you'll be able to appreciate the ups and downs, because you know they are temporary and they're taking you somewhere. There's no life that is a bed of roses. No, not at all. There's so ups and downs. But the moment you're positive, you're passionate, and you have convicted yourself to achieve something, it will definitely be a smooth ride, or you'll always have the best way to come out of it.
Awesome. Irene Birungi Mugisha, thank you so much for sparing time. Can you believe it? I've talked to the handler of the President of the Republic of Uganda, and you've given me 45 minutes. I am so happy. I'm so appreciative of that. Hopefully our listeners are going to learn from this and be inspired and be motivated also. Irene, thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you so much. I really hope that for every statement and comment I've done will be impactful to everyone. We are here to inspire each other and to learn from each other. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.